you know, like I'm if I'm not for racism, I'm not for racism. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And what else I wanted? One other thing I wanted to point out. You know, every race that's come to America has been allowed to thrive. Mm-hmm. Thrive as far as businesses. Mm-hmm. Thrive as far as everything. Mm-hmm. You know, I think of the Indians getting all the stores, convenience stores, if you will. The Middle Easterns coming for and we're here trying to get some of that. I think it gets trickled down, a few trickle down big businesses like that that the black community gets. But I think in my personal view, every race that's come to America has been allowed to thrive. I mean, they've been through their they've been down. I say the gutter. Let's just say the gutter. They've been down in the gutter, and then they've been allowed to rise up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in us, we're still down here.
That's because there's no system in place to stop them.
Yes.
There's been a system in place since the
Stop us,
founding fathers started this.
Since we got here on the boat.
So that's what we're fighting.
Yes. Still fighting.
And if you
19.
whenever we get to a certain height and it looks like things are about to even out, or you know, it's like then they bring in the white girl with the allegation, and like look at Black Wall Street, they burned that whole city down because of the word of one person. Same thing with Rosewood.
One woman.
One woman with Emmett Till. One woman. And so,
which wasn't true.
Right. None of those three were true.
And they were not true.
Right. And so but they just needed a reason.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And even in our communities, you look, they just need a reason.
Yeah.
Like, why are there more abortion clinics in our communities? And there are those, what do you call it? Those where they, you know, poke you and give you like quintuplets or something like that. What's the other one? Fertility clinic.
Yeah.
In upper white neighborhoods. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things.
These are just questions.
You know what I'm
just
saying?
asking questions.
Like, there's a system or a situation. And then you look at old girl who started it, Margaret Sanger. Her thing was eugenics. She wanted to kill off black people. And so they were sterilizing black people. And they're saying, yeah. And they'll still, like, even what's her name? Hillary Clinton will still say, yeah, Margaret Sanger, I'm really impressed by her. Yeah, and like they push Planned Parenthood on people of color. You know what I'm saying? Like there is a system
that's true
that's trying to, like, I wouldn't even say destroy, but trying to make us docile. You know what I'm saying? And then so like what other people group do you have that talks about genocide, like internal genocide? Like we have channels that were initially, you know, like BET. We have channels, BET and all the music stations. They're talking about killing your own people and spending your money on people who don't have the same last name as you. I ain't never met a Lamborghini in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Somebody with the last name Lamborghini. Never met him. Never met a Gucci. So we killing each other and selling drugs to each other. Like this is taught. Yeah. We're selling drugs to each other. So we got our own issues and like those things are promoted. Now, look at, and I'm gonna cut it down because you know I'm getting heated. But look at what's his name. Like they say, oh well, you know it's okay for a black man to talk about killing another black man, you know, because they got freedom of speech. Rick Ross put out a song where he talked about it's called I-N-E-N-O, like I-N-E-N-O, like that, right? So he put out a song like that, and he was talking about how he gave some girl a Molly and then enjoyed her that night and she didn't even know, right? He lost all his endorsements. He was pretty much, you know, cut off because he was talking about a date rape drug, which is a big deal. But so is killing black people in black communities. That's a big deal. But it's like they have learned a way to profit off of the pain of my people. You know what I'm saying? And there's nobody to check that. Like if you look at all the CEOs and the big names, they're either down with somebody who's not from our culture or they're just not from our culture. And so like we have to deal with that. You know, I think that the internet has made things balance out a little bit more, you know, especially as far as music. But if you condition people a certain way for over 400 years, and then it wasn't like they just stopped, and then 50 years, there was, the birth of Jim Crow, and they were doing all of that foolishness, and then you're just like, all right, bet, you're free, and we're going to let you get into college even though you don't deserve it. We're going to let you get into school even though you don't deserve it. Do you think that person, if they had to deal with that, is going to function well? And we know that what happens to one generation happens to another generation. Like you are conditioned by the things of, like your parents treat you a certain way based upon the way they were treated.
Correct.
You reminded me of Furious Styles in Boys in the Hood when he was explaining gentrification and all that stuff. And maybe I'll play a clip for you guys out there.
It's called gentrification. It's what happens when the property value of a certain area is brought down. Huh? You listening? Yeah. They bring the property value down. They can buy the land at a lower price. Then they move all the people out, raise the property value, and sell it at a profit.
Ain't nobody from outside bringing down the property value. It's these folks shooting each other and selling that crack rock.
Well, how you think the crack rock gets into the country? We don't own any planes. We don't own no ships. But we are not the people who are flying and floating that it in here. I know every time you turn on the TV, that's what you see. Black people selling the rock, pushing the rock, pushing the rock. Yeah, I know. But that wasn't a problem as long as it was here. It wasn't a problem until it was in Iowa and it showed up on Wall Street where there are hardly any black people. Now, if you want to talk about guns, why is it that there's a gun shop on almost every corner in this community?
Why?
Tell you why. For the same reason that there's a liquor store on almost every corner in the black community. Why? They want us to kill ourselves. You go out to Beverly Hills, you don't see that shit. But they want us to kill ourselves. Yeah, the best way you can destroy a people, you take away their ability to reproduce themselves.
Yeah.
Who is it that's dying out here on these streets every night? Y'all.
Yeah.
Young brothers like yourselves.
What am I supposed to do? Fool roll up, try to smoke me? I'm gonna shoot if he don't kill me first.
You're doing exactly what they want you to do. You have to think, young brother, about your future. Huh?
But it's real. Is there anything, Roger and Eric, that you wanted to add to? By the way, shout out to Ron. Ron Watkins couldn't be here tonight. He was wanting to be here, and his answer to this question, I already know it, is just be normal. This is what he said on it. We were doing another podcast, and the question is, what can we do for you? How can we serve you? What do you need? And his thing was be normal. Don't talk normal. Be yourself. And the whole thing, don't go overboard with the white guilt thing. I didn't ask you all that.
True.
Be normal. But did you guys have anything? Because I know we kind of established that. But before we move on, did you guys have anything else to add to like that question?
Not really, but what comes to mind is I kind of go back to what you were saying, the 400 years of slavery. I feel like the history that has been told in this country is a little bit different from like the black man's history versus the white man's history.
Yeah.
So it's like, even recently, just listening to some sports shows, my eyes were open to some things. So you have 400 years, 250 years slavery, 150 years of Jim Crow, whatever, 400 years. It's like when you cut off a branch, the sap, it doesn't die immediately. Like the leaves will take a while to wither off. So if you say, okay, today we're signing a law that there's no more slavery, basically. Well, 400 years of this is still, it's not going to die like today, right? Yeah. And as you were speaking, I was thinking of a situation where, okay, so they said, okay, no more slavery, right? So you were in the plantations, now you're free, you go, but you don't have any jobs. And there was like a law, apparently, a vagrancy law that, okay, you can't stay unemployed. So they had to go back to the plantations, right?
I never heard about
this. This is
conveniently never heard about that.
So this is a history that, right, and then they don't really get
paid for the work that they've done.
You just live there.
Yeah.
Or you end up in the chain gang.
Yeah.
Like right. That's why they have the chain gang is where you're a convict. Like if you saw Life with Eddie Murphy.
I still have not seen that.
Okay, well, good for you. It's not that great. But anyway, like, you know, like basically there are pictures of plenty of black men where they have those prison outfits where it's like, you know, black and white all the way down, and they're connected by a chain. And, right.
I got
and
you.
so they were the chain gang. Like a lot of those chain gangs came from that vagrancy law. So that's exactly what we're talking about. So either you sharecrop for nothing, or you, if you can't find a job and you're just found out on the street, they'll lock you
They'll
up.
lock you up. And that's what helped keep the cotton industry going, the wood industry going, all of that in the South.
Cheap, free labor.
It was cheap, free labor.
And they got reparations. White slave owners got reparations.
Yeah.
Like when they say, hey, black people didn't get reparations, the people who got reparations after the Civil War were the white slave owners who lost everything. Because it's like, oh, you don't have any slaves? Well, here's
slaves
money.
anymore. Can't expect me to do that work.
It's like a stimulus.
Yeah. A stimulus. Talk about that.
Did I say that? Okay.
It's the history of this country is economics, man. Money.
Yeah.
Slavery is about money.
But yeah, and then so that's that history thing. Like, you know, like there's two different histories, and that's why there's like that knee-jerk reaction, because we're coming against mindsets. Like you were taught your history, and so when you hear somebody tearing down or pulling your flag, you know, like, oh, the Confederate flag doesn't mean that. It absolutely does mean that. And it's like, well, if you look at this book, I don't have to look at any books. My grandma said, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're dealing with heart issues, whereas like I have been taught these things all my life. You're coming against that, and you're mean about it, and so therefore I'm going to buck back. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, when people were nice about it or saying whatever, nobody was listening. So it's like it's that give and take. Like your history of all the presidents were great guys. You know, or there was a slave master who had his statue up, and they tore his statue down, and certain white people were mad about it, and they read certain things about him. He said, beat the slaves and give it to them hard, and then after that pour some brine on their back. But these white, because they wanted them to really feel it. But the white people in that community hailed that man as a hero. You know, because he was like, oh, he was a good general in the South.